Well, howdy, it's Steve, 1,000 Year Home. So this tractor, if you've been watching me, is helping me build this house. It's worth five guys. But I bought it brand new, and you know, you get your 50-hour runts over, and then you get a 100-hour. I've just hit my 300-hour, so I'm actually just going to do everything that I can find in my area. So I went to my Mahindra dealer and asked them for a tune-up kit, and they don't have any such thing. I don't know if they're just trying to make me drop it off for 2 weeks while they order the parts themselves and fix it, but what farmer could go without his tractor for 2 weeks? So anyway, I'm ordering things from Amazon, and I'll be adding them. This weekend, I hope to get everything done, the 300 hours done. If I'm short anything, I'll catch it up. So let's start first with what I know I have, the oil. So we'll do the oil. Well, I have been complaining about hogs for a little while. And one of the problems with hogs is it shakes your tractor up. So this hood no longer fits, the side panels no longer fit. In addition, while I was moving it, because it won't latch, the hood came up and bent it. So I'm going to be doing some metal work on this during this maintenance phase, but and I might do a separate video just on the metal work. But let's check the oil. So about the sheet metal, you know, it's just a tractor. I'm not out to abuse it. That just happens. But if you look down in here, you can see that these rails are bent. That's bent. The hood pin, which was probably off camera, is bent. The fit's no longer right around there. This gasket doesn't fit right. Just a lot of things have been damaged in here. There's some bolts that are off of it. And then, of course, all of the sheet metal's loose. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all the sheet metal off. That's crooked. I could see the front panels crooked. Wow, just here's your fill right here. So it all still looks pretty fresh, good. Little dark, not too bad. All right, let's get this side panel off. Now, if your Mahindra is not all bent up, you won't need you know, pliers on the nuts, but mine is. And then once you pull it off, this off, then if you take a look back where it plugs in, it kind of picks up and pulls out of there. So you'll pull it up and you'll move it forward and it'll come off the side panel. Yeah. Once you get the right side panel off, there's several things you could do in there. You could check your belt, make sure that it's, you know, not too far away. Inspect everything. Notice here that this fuel line, I believe it's a fuel line, is rubbing up pretty hard up against here, and that's all related to my hogs and bouncing around. So I'll wrap some tape around that or some foam. Right here's my fuel, and I did get the fuel filter, so I'll be doing that. And down here underneath everything, I hope you can see the drain plug. Let's get that going, get that draining. Got my little oil can under here. Let's go ahead and open this thing up. Now, I didn't get any crush washers with anything, so I don't know if I'm going to find crush washers in here or not. Let's see. That's a 17 millimeter. 14 pounds is sure hard. Now I'm changing this on my trailer specifically so I can get the oil on the wood as a preservative. So a little splash out isn't a big deal, but I sure don't like getting oil all over me. While it does that, I check the magnet on the fill plug, and no problem there, no filings on it, all looks good. Alright, I'll let that dribble out. While I do that, let's try to do this oil filter. Continuing my whole study on things that are too tight and too loose. I'm going to bet that that's going to be hard to get off of there. Let's see if my filter wrench will fit. Not at all. I see no way of getting that in. Nope. Well, I'm in big trouble. I don't see how that's going to help me. never should be that difficult. Everything from the factory is just so over-torqued. Little things are over-torqued, and then big bolts are missing. It's still torqued. It's supposed to be tight and then 2/3, you know? And instead, I'm here using a lever bar to even start it. Twice. Twice I need it. I don't know, like 100 pounds of torque on a oil filter. I think robots hate people, and when they put them on a factory, the robots are like, let's torque that way, way down. Put a lot of pressure on it. Alright, I got my replacement for my Mahindra 51356 at the Napa, and there's the wicks. That's the wicks number for it. Guys like it when you write your date and time on it, but this is never leaving my farm, and I just use the clock, and I stick pretty much within the clock, plus or minus, I don't know, 20%. I'll do them earlier, I'll do them later. Alright, so the right thing on an oil filter is once you hit contact, then it's 2/3 more of a turn. It's not 500 pounds, so there I've got contact. And 2/3 more of a turn. I can see from the label, wicks. I'm bringing it around now. I'm going to stop right there. I don't have to go tighter than that. It'll be just fine. Just like that. So on the plug, when I go to put it back, I don't see a O-ring on it, and I don't see a crush washer, but I mean, maybe that was a crush washer in there. Go ahead and tighten her back up. 14 pounds of pressure, that's it. That's all you need on oil plugs. They aren't, you know, load bearing, and grade A14, just snug, and then 14 pounds. I really like this tractor overall, but things like this where the oil's hidden, oil stick's hidden way in the back, you can't see it. You know, and you can't see to put it back in, and then you can't tell if you wiped it clean while you're pulling it out. So, super hard to see. Alright, let's put the oil filter back in. Alright, I put about a gallon of that in. Synthetic is what I use since I don't always get a chance. It's awfully hot down here, so I like to have a good oil in it. Alright, so after a gallon, I'm still about a quart low, so and I used all my oil, so I'll pick up a quart tomorrow and put it in there. So I guess by 2 gallons of oil is what I'm saying. Alright, let's go ahead and change this fuel filter since I'm already all stinky. Might as well end up smelling like diesel. Now this system has a automatic flush on it, so it'll take care of itself. So your filter is underneath there. So after you unscrew it on there, it's pretty hard to get out, but you pull it out, and you know, there's a O-ring in there, and also you may not have got that O-ring along the outside. Make sure you don't lose it. So you'll be putting that back in and tightening it all up. Let me clean out the inside cup. Mine came with the inner O-ring taped to it right there, so I'll peel that tape off and be careful putting it back together. Put in the new fuel filter. It's got a little notch in it, so we'll line up that notch with the notches. Alright. we go. Alright, so now it's getting too dark for me to work any further. So once I tighten this up a little bit, alright, I'm going to turn the key and run it. Check the oil filter tonight, check the fuel filter, and then I'll pick up tuning it up from this point forward. I'll run it just a minute or two though. Well, continuing on with the maintenance, this came online, right? And then I had Leah print it out for me. Apologies for this page. It blew out once and I had to step on it. But this is your frequency. It's page 88 of the manual for my particular manual, the 1626. And see, 10 hours, 400 hours. They're telling you what to check. You know, daily you check the grill and radiator. Obviously, you don't want to stick through it. But I'm at the 300 hour. And if you start looking down through here critically, you'll see 300 hours transmission, hydraulic system, the electric, So I couldn't find that filter specifically. So I ordered one that maybe is it. The MFD front axle lubricant, so that'll be the first time to trade the lubricant. So, and the hydraulic system and the axles, I believe, are hooked together. We'll find out. But I believe they're all drawing from the same reservoir. But I could be incorrect on that. So where did I leave off last night? I'm doing the general maintenance on this. So I got the oil all changed, and it was pretty dirty. But it is a diesel, so that was expected. I got the fuel filter changed, and I don't see anything leaking there. I did run it for about 5 minutes, and I don't see anything dripping there. So I didn't get a new crush washer for the plug there. That didn't come, so that's a little bit of a thing. So what do I have? I have the air filter to do, the radiator to do for general maintenance. I can't do the hydraulic system, which I wanted to do. What else is left to do? That's it for maintenance. Now, on this particular unit, mixed in here, you'll see that I have sheet metal work to do. And I'm going to try to get this tractor back to where it is. You'll see that I broke off lights in the trees. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch these lights so they're on the inside rail instead of outside. It's those darn mesquite which doing it. That little cheesy toolbox, a plastic toolbox, is not nearly adequate. I ordered both a ammo case, a steel ammo case, which has more capacity, as well as a large toolbox. And we'll try both of them and see which one works better there. What else have I had problems with? Some of the guys have complained about how the how the hydraulics ride right on the pins, and that's a realistic complaint, right? You'll see that it was snagged on those ears. This is kind of a bad design. I might think of some way of trying to keep it away from there, but I just keep an eye on it, and I haven't broken a hydraulic line yet. I've hung this thing up like a turtle a couple of times. So in the logging, you could see I bent this. So I smacked a stump, which hung me up and caught my pedals here. Listen, let's not blame the tractor for that. That's an operator error. But when you're brush hogging in the woods, you can see that this Texas woods it's a serious deal. You really can't see around those things. So if you're going around and there's an old stump, and that's what happened. I caught an old stump. Little things like this rubber pad is pulled loose on that. But one functional problem that I have is, and this is common of a lot of tractors, my differential engage is locked on. I think it's locked on. So I'm going to be working on that and trying to get the pedal to go up. This is a crap design. Most tractors are crap designed for differential lock. The very first thing to do is to spray everything, lubricate it, and I got both lithium and dry spray silicone for the linkages, as well as the shaft that goes into the rear differential lock. and then you drive it forward and reverse through all the gears, and you twist the wheels all the way as you're doing that, backing up, move forward, backing up, move forward. And the goal is to get the wheels to move at a different rate, which then will allow the differential lock to unlock. We'll see. Now, going back to the hog damage, and my hogs are so bad, all my little pins that were holding my front end are all a little out of line. And I won't blame the tractor for that either. This is very rough terrain, but ultimately it damaged my hood. It bent all of my pins in there. This doesn't latch anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and do some, in a different video, sheet metal work on this. Body work, I've got some cool little add-ons that I'm going to do to this tractor. I like the little friendly face. It reminds me of a little hopping sputter. While we're talking about things that have gone wrong for me, not related to the tractor, you could see that I snagged a chain on a log and really gave it a yank, the whole thing. I don't think I bent it, but one weird thing that did happen in the videos is while I was in the brush, a cedar came up and went through a log, went through this D-ring and ripped it out, shearing the safety pin on the back. Now I put a heavier one in there, but it was just originally a cotter pin, and sheared that out and took my whole front end while I was loaded and just pulled it all off the tractor. It was just a freak accident, but these D-rings, you know, I don't know, you might want to put gray tape around them or something if you're in a heavily wooded area like me, but I think that was just a freak accident. But I spent all afternoon then trying to get the bucket back on in the middle of the woods. I've knocked the tractor tires off the beads a few times by not paying attention to how they're aired up, and I have mesquite out here. So, but I replaced all of the tractor stems, which were not steel. They're all steel now. So that's one thing that I did to improve the system at 300 hours. So, you know, I really like this tractor. I have no complaints. It's done more in everything that I've ever asked it to do. I haven't abused it, but I've used it. You know, I've used it. So it's a giver, and it punches way above its weight class for this kind of a machine. You know, this is a small tractor. It's a garden tractor, and I treat it like a fork truck slash backhoe slash front end loader. Brush hog in really seriously difficult environments. Pick up seriously heavy stuff. I moved a playhouse for my daughter, which was beyond the limits of this tractor by a lot. I ended up dragging it. So I think that this is a stellar machine. So what I have left to do for the maintenance, one thing that you need to do is check that on a regular basis and make sure that, you know, material hasn't built up in there, you're not overheating your tractor. So I do have that to do, the radiator and the air. I'll set up the camera and we'll finish up, but the sheet metal will be its own video, and obviously the hydraulic system as well as the repair of the sticky differential will probably be its own video separate from this. So this is a 300-hour maintenance that I'm doing on the system. I'm going all in. My little difficulties, you know, I like to buy the little kits that come and everything's in it, including all the crushable washers and all of the O-rings and everything. And oh, this piecemealing from Napa and piecemealing from Tractor Supply and getting stuff from Amazon. That was, I'm a little disappointed in my Mahindra dealer. In addition, he's 100 miles away. So, you know, and then to go for a service and we'll hold on to it for 2 weeks. I think if you're the dealer, you should have all that stuff on the shelf. I mean, a couple of days, you know. Anyway, I could just tell they were ordering in this, and I can order in the stuff myself and get it done without interrupting my work schedule. So, anyway, let me set up the camera, finish up the air breather, radiator, and then button things up a little bit, and then I'll back this thing off and I'll start working on sheet metal today. It'll be a while before that video will come out because I'm in no big hurry. Okay, continuing on with my maintenance. As I mentioned, the hogs have bent my sheet metal all up, so this is, you won't have that, right? I'm using it to hold my lid down. Let's do the air cleaner while we're here. Now I bought both the center and the outer for this, so I'm going to replace them both. And you know, here in Texas, that's looking pretty rough, right? It's looking pretty rough. But it does come with a little oil pack, so I'll oil everything up, stick it back in. Sometimes I save those, but most of the time I throw them away. These I'm going to throw away. It's so dusty here. Yeah, I've mentioned before, just a little bit ago, about pulling the screen off the radiator on a regular basis before you even use the tractor, because I've had that get plugged too, especially mowing. See right now that there all kind of stuff built up here in the radiator. So when I drop that filter, that post filter back in there, everything, a little bit of dust in here. I'll show you what I'm doing here. So talking about hog damage on metal. So and this is the one thing that I do see people complain about the Mahindra. These little straps here, right? You see how they're bent in? Can you see that? Now I had to bend them out. So it wasn't holding that filter into the right, that radiator screen into the right spots. Let me drop it in now. So, and it's still not. All right, you can agree that it's riding up on that. Kind of a chintzy design. That needed to be a little beefier. So earlier it was like, you know, scooched down on the outside of it. It was on the outside of it like that there. So and it's still wood on this side. See how it's trying to skip that over there? Let me get that bent around and fixed up. And I'll get an air hose in here and blow out all of these things. I've power washed it, so it should be clean. You finish that up. So I do like the quality of the Mahindra, but like all new parts, cars, you know, they decontent too much to try to save a dollar, you know, where they really should just give the consumer what the, you know, a little higher quality. So there's the part number that came from Napa. So 500027. This is a Mahindra 1626. So it looks like I may not have the inner filter in here. Let me look. It's just the outer filter. So when I get the air, my air compressor, and blow all that out, I'll pull the inner filter out. So I would have preferred to replace the inner filter too. Again, going back to not having a kit, right? This is helpful. I'm making a list as I go of all the stuff that I didn't get the first time. Just going to lube the surface areas where it rides to kind of keep the fine dust doesn't go up into the carburetor. The reason I thought I had both of them, you see that the picture in there is showing there that I have both, and yet I don't. Alright, that's supposed to keep dust from riding all the way around. So I'll order that inner one. There we go. But that's the old one. There's the new one. You could see I was in trouble there. You know, just your general dust was in there. Not too bad. And then check that little burp valve. Make sure that will open for you. And you know what that is when it needs to breathe and get a lot of gulp air. That's what that valve does. Gulp air for it. Put that back on. And that points down. When you latch this on. Alright. I think I have it now oriented right. Alrighty. Radiator almost looks full. There's an overflow fill here, and there's a hot and cold min max, and there's nothing in there. So I'm a little low, not a lot. I could see radiator fluid in there. There, I'll top it off at the cold. Okay. One more thing I'll mention when I start doing the body work, and I hope I'll remember. The bolts, when you get a brand new tractor, not just Mahindra, go over them yourself. And the grease certs, do not assume that the manufacturer greased them or your service guy greased them. Go back over all of them again. My tractor was greased, but the backhoe wasn't. And I sheared, I ran it before I realized that some of the joints weren't greased properly, and that's really bad. And you'll have the same problem. So I'm just going to check everything, make sure I tightened everything properly, got all the lids on properly. I know I'm a quart oil low, and I'll get that, but I'm going to turn it on now and let it run for 5 minutes and see what leaks or doesn't leak. Nothing's leaking right now, so at the end of 5 minutes, still nothing should leak. The loose bolts, when I first got this, and I've seen this complaint from a couple of people with Mahindra, they said, hey, this thing leaks. And it's, again, 2 weeks or 2 months for the dealer to get in and fix it. They don't honor warranty. It's $250. What I had found was some of the bolts that were along the differential and along the transmission were slightly loose. And it was leaking through there. The engine mounts had some things that were loose. Anyway, the bolts themselves, the frame bolts were loose, and that's where it was leaking, and tighten those down. So I was disappointed that the dealer missed a greasing for me. I was disappointed they didn't send me a manual. Leah had to print that out. And then the loose bolts, I don't think that should have been from the factory. But nevertheless, save yourself the hassle and do all that. I'm going to charge up my air compressor. I'm going to blow everything out while this runs. And then lastly I'll grease everything up, all of the grease certs as well. Well, there's two different kinds of hydraulics in these tractors, and I've got the old-fashioned, just the gear-driven, so I'm trying to find a model number on this, just to make sure I get it right. I don't think I saw one. Anyway, the reason why I went with the gear-driven hydraulics, they could pick up more. And I do a lot of heavy stuff, so I wanted the full 2000 on there. It is more simplistic than hydrostatic. Now you lose the single pedal that makes you go up and down, back and forth, and all that. I got a shift, but it gives me a higher torque, and that's more important to me than going back and forth. But anyway, there it is. I was looking for a part number. I did not see a part number anywhere. Little dude's helping me fix my tractor. You go, little dude. Don't get squished over there. Don't get squished. I don't know if other guys manage shit the way I do, but when a part just harasses me endlessly, I don't even take it to Goodwill. I'm not going to burden another man. I have smashed crap microwaves. I just smashed that crap Harbor Freight compressor. I feel so much better for it.
This thing could not wheeze out what would come out of your own lungs. I just got tired of it leaving me high and dry. And then, you know, your Porter cable stuff that's good, they've gone into bankruptcy. You're heading into financial distress or whatever they want to call it. So I might not have those anymore. But at least it blows wind, you know.
Well, I'm recording right now.
Oh.
So, anyway, Leah did my final quality inspection. She did not see any drips on the fuel system or the oil. So I think we're fine there. This little thing's still missing its bracket. It's weird, so I'll fix that. Everything needs to be blown out.
Can we get a gasket for it when we're out?
Bracket?
A bracket?
No, it's there. I just need to bend.
Oh.
You remember how I said the hogs have bent everything up? All of the sheet metal's bent a little on the front, and so none of it fits together, including things like that. And then stuff starts falling apart because it's not binding together properly. You know, I see a little part right there that fell off, right, on the ground. So, and it's just a matter of hogs are terrible.
Touch it and it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah. Well, you know, driving through that field where it's, you know, 6-8 hours of that. And
what was your other idea? We were going to do something where we put the...
Well, I'm going to see if the UTV will pull a plow.
That's right.
And but what's the point of fixing the field if the hogs are just going to keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back?
Well, how about doing the scarecrow? I'm almost done with the house.
The scarecrow's a good idea, and we'll see. So we'll do one up front, and I'll see if, you know, the back field, if it stops. Yeah. I'll look and see if the scarecrow is even bothered by the deer. Yeah. If the deers aren't afraid of it, then the hog won't care, you know. But it's worth a try.
Skittish. The deers are skittish out here.
Right,
so
and so if they don't, they stay away, maybe the hog will stay away.
Okay, I want to go finish.
The fence is the right thing, you know, and it's just so expensive. I measured all the way around it, and I'm like a mile and 1.3 miles of fencing to get all the way up. And then the main front gate's not a fence gate, so they could still come in through that.
Well, but we need to go look at all that barbed wire in the corner. Maybe go today and see what's back there.
Yeah, but I need the hog panel. Yeah. You know, barbed wire won't keep them away, but... So once I'm done with this, the next step for me is to undo all of the metal and rebend it. You know, I got some work. I got to grease all the fittings. So, which could be its own video. Greasing everything could be its own video.
Tightening everything. I mean, there's a lot of
bolts this concludes maintenance, though. I'm super happy. The filter they sent me, they didn't have an inner filter, and I've ordered that, so I need to find the inner filter, and then we need to buy the right amount of oil. I'm a quart low.
Okay, well, let me go finish sleeping.
That's it. I think it took me maybe 2.5 hours to do this maintenance. I was in no hurry, though. There was a lot of other things I was doing. But that's a 300. That concludes the 300-hour maintenance, minus the hydraulics, which I'll do a separate video on that. I guess I'll do a separate video on greasing because that will work, and then the sheet metal work and all of the repairs I'm going to do on the tractor, that'll be its own video too. So, but there's 300 hours, and also I put some reviews on what I thought about the tractor. More than a garden tractor, less than a farmer's heavy-duty tractor. You know, and certainly not a skid steer, not a case front end loader. You know, it is. You know, but I'm asking it to do those jobs, and it is, and it's doing it with grace. So, you know, no criticism from me on these little tiny things. The service would be a criticism, but I've heard people complain about John Deere lately that the John Deere won't even let consumers fix, right? And we see the lawsuits for the right to repair. Everything I can repair on this. This is as heavy of a tractor you can get without the regenerative diesel on it, which I would never want regenerative diesel. You're working on your tractor and it goes, oh no, time out, I gotta shut down and redo my diesel. You know, regen or diesel. Nah, I don't want that. Anyway, I would buy it again for sure. So really appreciate it. And I'm doing heavy stuff, you know, all that shredding in the woods and 3-inch trees. I don't care. I run them over with the brush hog. So Titan brush hog is what I'm using. 5-footer. 6 foot would be pushing it on it. My property's flat. I'm not in rolling hills or anything, so I can't comment on that. If you're in the mountains of Colorado, your experience might be different. But here in Texas, in mesquite and thorns and hard hogs, it's a pretty good tractor. So, alrighty, thanks much. Like, subscribe. Bye.